It's the Red Rican, and today we'll talk about the aftermath of Election Day, 2021, and how after all this, the Democrats they want to deny reality. And what do I mean by that? The reality is, show this, you could see here from MSNBC, they still have to have a story about Trump. I mean, it's not even the president anymore. But here it's like legal experts, the GOP's win in Virginia is what happens when voting rights are gutted, just nonsense. Here's someone from MSNBC. What did she say? She said, critical race theory, which is not real, turned the suburbs 15 points to the Trump insurrectionist endorsed Republican. So, I said it a long time ago. You could check some of my old videos. I said every politician, somehow or another, they're always gonna, because they did such a good job at demonizing Trump, any candidate that says or remotely resembles what he's talking about, they will demonize with the Trump stereotype or the Trump facade. That's what they're going to do. They've been doing it with Ron DeSantis because they want to make sure that because they're terrified. Ron DeSantis is the candidate that terrifies. They're not scared of Trump because they already did a good job of demonizing Trump. Is Ron DeSantis they're scared of. But this is not this. That's another story for another day. What I want to talk about is this in particular, where they talk about, where they're saying, in one breath they'll say, oh, CRT is about teaching history, and then in this case they're saying CRT is not a real thing. Okay, why is CRT all of a sudden a big thing? Here's why it's a big thing. What happened was we had the lockdowns. Okay. Because CRT is not new. That's the whole thing. It may be big news now, but it's not new. What made it new is during the lockdowns and kids were going to school through Zoom. They're doing online school. Well, guess what? Parents finally were able to see what their kids were learning. And that's why CRT came to the forefront, because parents were seeing what their kids were learning and they did not like it. I'm one of them. Okay. They saw, and when I tell you it's not a new thing, it's like 2020, was, it's going to be, it's over a year ago when parents were seeing what the kids were learning. Here's an article from, okay, great. Bring this down. Here's an article, and I've talked about this in my in a previous video, but I wanted to show this this here. This is from the University of Texas, San Antonio. This is the professor. In real time, from theory to practice in a critical race pedagogy classroom. And if you go into what they talk about, she calls it critical race pedagogy. This is, so this is what they were talking about. My motivation for creating a course on racial consciousness for students interested in teaching professional centers on three core principles. We live in a highly racialized society, and you can read the rest there. As an educator, I feel a sense of responsibility to prepare my students to engage in a democracy for the liberation of oppressed groups. So basically, you're not white, you're an oppressed group. Furthermore, for students of colors interested in becoming future teachers in under-resourced schools, I feel the utmost responsibility to nurture their racial consciousness. That's, so when they say that CRT doesn't exist or CRT is a college course, yes, The actual critical race theory is a college level course, but its practice and its pedagogy are not. They apply critical race theory to their teachings. So that's why this is from 2017. So it's not new. It's just the fact that parents saw it. And, and here's another article. I mean, this one's from, where's this one? This one's from, I think this one's from 2020. Yeah, April 20. Why is critical race important in education? And they ask all these, why is it critical race theory provides many tools to help educators take to social justice activism in order to create an environment that demonstrates that learning is valued for all and shows that. So it's about activism, social justice activism. Critical race theory and what they're teaching our children, they're teaching their kids to be activists. They're teaching kids to be activists. That's what they're doing. When I say that this is dividing our country, here's a, here's a book that I found on Amazon. It's called Woke Baby. Okay. And here, frequently brought together, anti-activist baby. A is for activists. And these are things that are being taught. These are things that are being taught to, look, this is not school-age children. This is literally preschool. This is teaching these kids racism from a baby, from 1-2 year olds. It's disgusting. That's why when you say race, when you say racism is learned, racism is learned. You could put a black, white, Spanish, Asian, you put these babies together and they play together. They don't care. We teach them racism. This is teaching racism. This here is teaching racism. Look, here's another book that I came across. Not my idea, a book about whiteness. Okay. When you're teaching kids, teaching kids about whiteness, well, whether it's a black kid learning about it or a white kid learning about it, it's disgusting. It goes here, an honest explanation about how power and privilege factor into the lives of white children at the expense of other groups. It's supposed to be a theory, but they teach it as fact. I just want to show some of these illustrations. So if your kid comes home and says, why am I, oh, I don't like that I'm white. This is why. You see stuff like this. This is a good illustration. Let me bring this one up so you can see it. Look. Contract binding you to whiteness. And then look what they did here. And it says, dude, we can see a pointy tail. That's disgusting. This is disgusting. This is what they want to teach children. So you want to, this is basically teaching children to hate white people. Because there's no nuance at this age. They don't know nuance. They don't understand the nuance that this is just a theory that people have. But this is what's going on in schools. This is what's going on. This is what has infected the Democrat Party. This wokeness is affected the Democrat Party. And that's why it's like when you people who are still asleep there in the Democrat plantation, you guys got to wake up and see this is what they're doing to your children. And to an extent, they're doing it to you too, because you see this stuff and you think this is, this theory is fact. Do we have an ugly history with race relations? Yes. Were things getting better? Absolutely. But teaching this is taking a step backwards. We're not moving forward. We're going backwards. We're teaching kids that whiteness is evil. We're teaching kids that based on the color of your skin. Here with woke baby, I think, was it woke baby or was it the other one? No, with the anti-racist. Let me click on this real quick because I did see what he said. He said a colorblind society is racist. And that's, to me, that's gross. It says it right here. Let me see, I'll bring it. Like I said, it says that a color race, if you ignore color, that means you're racist. And no, that should be our goal, to strive that I don't see you as a black man. You don't view me as a Latino. You don't view someone as a Chinese person, an Asian person, an Indian person, whatever. You view them as being a human being. But that's not what they want. They want the division. The division helps them because it gives them a block of power. Because at the end of the day, critical race theory is anti-American, is anti-capitalism. And why do I tell you that? Because critical race theory itself is an offshoot of critical theory, and critical theory is an offshoot of Marxism. So that's what is being taught to our children. And he's a longtime Democratic strategist, James Carville. He blames stupid wokeness for election losses, and he's absolutely right. Because when you want to teach my kid, you want to teach other kids to be activists. That's gross. I'm supposed to teach my kids my values. I don't want schools to teach their values to my children. And I want I don't want my little girl growing up and seeing, I want her to see a human being. I don't want her to see race. I want her to see a person for who they are and get to know them so she could see who that person is and if she wants that person in their life, regardless of whether they're white, black, Asian, Hispanic, doesn't matter. And he's right. The strategist said James Carville said, we got to change this, and it's not about changing dictionaries and changing laws. These faculty lounge people sit around mulling about, I don't know what, they're not working. Carville also mocked the leftist protests in Seattle, including the creation of an anti-police autonomous zone. When voters went to the polls on Tuesday, local outlets project that they elected a Republican as Seattle city attorney. My people, and when I say my people, I'm talking about Latinos. 30% of us in the presidential, a little more than somewhere between 30 to 40% of us voted Republican in the presidential election. I'm not saying that all of us should be voting Republican. And I'm not saying that they're the solution, but they're not the problem. Right now, the Democrats are infested with this ideology that just is destroying this country. It's destroying the morale of this country. It's taking us backwards in race relations. We're going backwards. We're not going forward. Matter of fact, we're going so backwards that they want to institute segregation again. But instead of, it being the white people wanting to segregate themselves from black people, it's black people segregating themselves from white people, setting up black only spaces. Is this the country that we want? Wake up. We need to wake up and see that this is what's dividing the country. Yes, we're never going to agree on policy. Okay, where some people want more taxes, some people want less taxes, some people want more entitlements, some people want less, some people want a bigger military, some people want a smaller military, some people want a more isolationist approach to foreign policy, some people want a more interventionist foreign policy. We're never going to agree on all that stuff. But this is one place that we should all agree. We don't want our kids to be taught racism. Can we just agree on that and see where this is going? When you're teaching kids that whiteness is a bad thing, you're going to get a backlash to that. You're going to create white supremacists this way. Because what's going to happen is you're going to get the people who will be like, no, look, I'm proud of being white. I'm proud of America. And they're going to be like, well, I guess that makes me a white supremacist. And you're going to push people over the edge with that. You're going to push people to be white supremacists by doing this. It's not going to create a more integrated society. It's going to create a divisional society. Because you're going to see race and everything. You're going to see color and everything. So we need to nip it in the bud. We need to stop it here at the school level, at the school age level, because as you can see from these books, they want to teach the kids activism. They want to teach the teachers how to be activists and how to teach the students to be activists. Like I said, this is not new. This is not new. This is, like I said, from right here. This is from 2017. That's what she said. That was her third goal, was to for students of color interested in becoming future teachers in under-resourced school. She wants to nurture the racial consciousness. I don't want to nurture racial consciousness. I want to be proud of, I'm proud of being Puerto Rican. If I wasn't proud of being Puerto Rican, I wouldn't put it up in right there. Okay, but I'm also proud of being an American. I'm proud of both. So you could be proud of your heritage, you could be proud of your race without being racist, without it being to the point where I'm proud of these, I'm proud of my heritage, I'm proud of being an American. So what do we want, America? Do we want a country where we could, all maybe, we may be different races, different colors, different ethnicities, but we could agree that we're all American. And the fact that you want to talk about, privilege, we're privileged to grow up in this, that we were privileged to be born in this country or to have immigrated to this country. That's the privilege that we all have. Okay, because even poor people in America are fat. Go to other poor countries and see people starving. If there's people starving in this country, it's, there's food. We have food pantries that people have all across the country to help feed the poor. So there are, there are good people, both Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, all across the board. Your color doesn't define whether you're a good or a bad person. And if they if you're learning that, if you've learned that, if they've taught you that, that's the problem. Because color is not a determining factor. Race is not a determining factor. You want to be a bad person, keep listening to that stuff. We're never going to agree on policy. But this theory, we should all agree, is divisive, is destructive, and it's not good for our children and this country. I'll leave it there. I'm the Right Rican. You follow me here on YouTube, on Rumble. You could follow me on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, CloutHub. All right. So that being said, have a good one, everyone.